one of the questions is how do you move from these physical dollars to electronic dollars? I think the basic technology is going to take place on the internet. I think the specific platform in the emerging world is going to be on a cell phone platform. If you look at the numbers, there are about 360 million, about 150 million online desktop-based accounts today. That number is projected to grow to about 350 million in the next 5 years. However, with respect to cell phones, internet-enabled cell phones, they're just getting rolled out right now. They already have some significant penetration in Japan, in Finland, in Sweden. They're getting rolled out in Western Europe, the U.S. next year. The numbers are projected to grow from about 10 million internet-enabled cell phones today to about 1 billion in 5 years. In 5 years from now, everybody who is a member of the middle class in the emerging world and in the developed world will have an internet-enabled cell phone. And this sort of a in China, the number is projected to go to something like 300 million cell phones, most of which will be internet-enabled. These people will have access to their bank accounts, and it will be very easy for them to move money into an account in a safe jurisdiction where the banks are not politically controlled, and they will basically be able to completely dollarize the economy. There will be no need to have any rubles or renminbi, and it will be non-traceable. No matter how illegal the Chinese Communist government says it is to hold U.S. dollars, you will have a password on your cell phone, and the only way to stop this process would be literally to shut down the telecommunications network. And that's the kind of choice governments like China, India, some of these other countries are going to face. They will either have to shut down the telecommunications network and make it illegal for you to own a cell phone, or they will have to basically give up the kind of monetary sovereignty they've had and the enormous power that they've been able to wield as a result of this kind of sovereignty over the last many, many years.
You know, my problems with not just Bitcoin, but with the current crop of cryptocurrencies is really more to do with the fact that the world governments are not going to allow this to have traction at any level because, you know, and again, I always go back to this quote by the Rothschild family way back in the day that give me control of the nation's money supply and I don't need to write the laws. And there's no way that they're going to allow us after all these years of clamping down on Switzerland. They say, okay, yeah, let's have an anonymous global currency, just give up control of the money supply. It's outrageous to think that they will allow this to take hold. That's my biggest issue with it.
Do you differentiate between Bitcoin, which has the biggest market cap in terms of cryptocurrencies, and some of the smaller coins, the ICOs of the world, for instance, when you make that parallel between cryptocurrency and the scams you used to run out of the boiler room?
Well, there's two things. See, Bitcoin itself is not a scam, I don't think. What's happening is there are scams around it being perpetuated because by its very nature, it's a dark market. You can't see what's going on behind the scenes. And, you know, people dive into that and use it to rip others off. So it's not that Bitcoin's a scam, but its nature allows scams to occur. And that's what's been going on.
So it might even be better off for Bitcoin in the long run for the SEC to step in, as they've done in terms of cleaning up the chat rooms for penny stocks, et cetera.
Right, but I don't think that's what's going to happen because there are besides the scam. Well, because besides the scam, there's problems with the central banks don't want it because they need to control the money supply. They spent all this time trying to stop money laundering. So why now allow something that's an anonymous currency that lends itself to make money laundering very easy and hard to track down? There's no way that it's in their best interest to do that. I don't believe there's any shot in the world that will let that happen. That's my opinion.
So you think governments are going to step in and squash it?
Well, they already have, and it will get far more aggressive. And also, we don't even know how bad it is yet. There's investigations that have been announced that are underway. And as they say, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they do grind forward. And I am extremely confident that you'll see that when the truth comes out of what happened over the last couple of years, you're going to see massive fraud, manipulation. There's issues with Tether, which is linked to Bitcoin. So there's huge problems, I believe, regulatory-wise, and just seeing the tip of the iceberg right now.
How much, as a former money launderer, how much easier is it to launder money with a cryptocurrency than with using the standard banking system?
No, it's significantly easier because, again, you know, by its very nature, there's no central authority regulating it. That being said, at a certain point, it has to be converted back to a regular fiat currency. So at that point, it becomes vulnerable. But, either way, just look at it logically. The governments have spent so much money and resources trying to stop money laundering. Why on earth would they say, let's just give up control of the money supply. Let's just let anyone have anonymous. There's no, it defies logic. And also, there's the technical issues, like it's a massive waste of energy.
Welcome back to the Traders Network show, broadcasting worldwide on equities.com. I'm Matt Bird. We're here in Davos, Switzerland, covering the 2019 World Economic Forum. And today is the debut of the Transhuman Code. And I have the co-authors, David and Carlos here, and we're here celebrating this at the Caspian Week celebration. David, congratulations. What does this mean for you?
Oh, thanks, Matt. It's great to be here. Well, I think what's most significant is that the Transhuman Code was conceived here 3 years ago through a dialogue with Carlos and myself and the World Wide Web founder, Tim Berners-Lee. And that began a dialogue that, in fact, has evolved into a platform of conversations for technology developers, technology financiers, and most importantly, technology users, which is all of us here, of course. I've had a great opportunity to be able to experience here this week the Caspian Week Forum, which has become one of the most significant centers of thought leadership here in Davos during this week. And it's a great honor for myself, and I'm sure for Carlos, to be presenting the book here tonight.
That's excellent. Carlos, you have something to say?
Yeah, so it's a pleasure. First of all, thank you for being here. It's a great opportunity. The Transhuman Code solves one important problem that has not been raised yet on what we call the fourth industrial revolution, is that the human being has to be at the center of gravity. A lot of the AI technology that has been developed until now takes care of what humans do, but not what its human is. So the focus here is to really focus on human and teach the AI algorithm the humanity we have in us. Bottom line, we want us to prevail, and we want us to be the major protagonist on this fourth industrial revolution, maintaining the human at the center of gravity. For that, we need help. We need a lot of interactions with world leaders, with CEOs, with scientists, with amazing friends like Murad, that is opening for us an amazing region, which is the Caspian region, full of scientists, full of technology, and needs to be integrated and make it available through a specific project. And this is what it's all about, the Transhuman Code.
That's amazing. And to be doing it here at Caspian Week is incredible.
Today, I'll be talking about Transhuman Coin, the project I mentioned a week ago, and it has increased in value and also the community support by over 1,000 times during that time. So I'm just going to go through an overview of what to look out for in this video. What is Transhuman Coin? How does it help the transhuman movement? How do we help it grow? Who is part of the team? How do you buy it? And also the upcoming milestones for Transhuman Coin. So what is Transhuman Coin? It's a research and charitable token that's essentially dedicated to the transhuman movement. Now, this is something that we've been looking at over the last 5 years to try to find a way to incentivize, have skin in the game for the people that are part of the transhuman movement, and also accelerate the adoption. And I think this is finally the way to do it. In terms of where I think this transhuman coin could go, if you think about how it's supporting the community, not only is it bringing incentives for people to look into these long-term research and development projects, like extending our healthy human lifespan, but also it's allowing people to actually indicate that they are supporters of the movement. So whether as individuals or as companies, the analogy would be, for example, companies that currently hold Bitcoin. So this is an example on CoinGecko. You can see all the companies that hold Bitcoin, and they really are supporters of the Bitcoin movement. So companies like MicroStrategy and Tesla and Square, they're all about how do we actually decentralize financial services. Well, Transhuman Coin is a way to say, well, are you a supporter of the transhuman movement? Because companies like the CRISPR companies, Intellia, CRISPR and Editas, whether it's Pfizer and Moderna and BioNTech and Unity Biotechnologies, they could actually hold Transhuman Coin on their balance sheet as an indicator they are a supporter of this movement, because individual holders and also corporates can actually support this. And eventually we can get governments all around the world to hold it in their reserves as well. So I think this is where the long-term value is. In terms of the value of transhumanism overall, I mean, think about what we can do to achieve super longevity and what that means for the economy as well. That's trillions of dollars in what we can do if people can continue to live healthier and longer lives without just, reaching the age of 80 or above and perishing everything that they've built up to. Even billionaires, no matter how rich they are, they can't take it with them to the grave.
This is Josiah Zahner. He captured the world's attention after using the DNA editing tool CRISPR, one of the most significant scientific advances ever, on himself.
This technology is so powerful. There are literally millions of people dying that could use this technology, and yet nobody is giving these people access. This is a syringe, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to use this technology.
His do-it-yourself attitude towards CRISPR sent the media and science world into a tailspin. He's even had a medical board investigation aimed at him, but he's not deterred by the controversy. He says this is such a powerful tool for good that everyone should have access to it.
Josiah has a bold vision for the future of CRISPR. Some say his cavalier attitude is dangerous. He thinks maybe they're right, but sometimes risk is necessary to push the field further and faster.
It stands for Clustered, Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. The name's a mouthful, but what it does is pretty remarkable. It allows you to edit genomes by cutting DNA strands at precise points, then remove or replace a sequence to correct mutations in that DNA.
It all sounds a little sketchy, but Josiah is a trained scientist with a PhD from the University of Chicago in molecular biophysics. But soon he went from garage scientist to viral biohacker when he injected himself with DNA that had been modified using CRISPR.
And I think that's the way it should be with genetic engineering and synthetic biology. Why can't people use this technology without necessarily completely knowing how it works?
This video sparked outrage.
Oh, I can answer that one for you. Because it could be dangerous and someone could get hurt. Also,
Scientists freaked out. They were concerned the more this was normalized, people changing their DNA could have some unintended consequences, like modifying their genetic code that could be passed down from generation to generation.
I wanted to do it to make a statement for the right reasons. And that's so hard to do, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was just like me trying to make a statement about how our whole medical and genetic engineering system is. I wanted people to realize that this technology is real and powerful and it's available to them. We can't only put it in the hands of the rich and the powerful and the elite, right? I think that's the scarier thing. That's the bigger recipe for disaster. I don't know what the future is gonna bring with this technology, but giving people access to something that's that powerful, I can't imagine that amazing stuff won't happen.
Yeah. Also maybe some bad stuff too.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, bad stuff happens with anything, right? But it's what are we willing to, sacrifice here?
And so, with the amount of things that we can actually contribute to the economy by living longer and healthier, and also our overall well-being, we can also enhance our intelligence during that time. So companies like Tesla and Google and Baidu and Microsoft and OpenAI, they could hold transhuman coin to essentially be indicating that they're all about enhancing our intelligence through whether it's brain computer interfaces, our handheld devices, and accessing superintelligence through the cloud, and also developing chips from the likes of IBM and NVIDIA and AMD and Qualcomm and TSMC. So I think with transhuman coin, this is something that companies can hold on their balance sheet. They don't have to sell because it could essentially be used as a way to indicate their valuation. Transhuman coin, as long as it goes up, it can also be pegged to market value, and that way they can also then borrow against it or show to the share market that they are valuable on their balance sheet as an asset for transhuman coin, just like Bitcoin is with the likes of what Tesla is doing as well in MicroStrategy.
Imagine being able to unlock doors or a car with just a wave of your hand. Well, that's exactly what one Utah man can do thanks to some tech underneath his skin.
My, that is really going the distance. Our tech reporter Jordan Hogan spoke exclusively with him, and he now joins us live in studio with more on how this all works. Jordan, I mean, he went for it. I mean,
he
what
went
a surgery
the
and
full
everything.
mile. Yes. So Amy and John, John took it upon himself to place 4 pieces of tech into his hands, and what he can do because of it may make you do a double take.
Ben Workman is one of a few people around the world who are turning to cybernetic implants. Simply speaking, they're different kinds of computer chips that let you do different things. With his, Workman can unlock his car, unlock doors at work, log on and off of his computer, and share contact information using the same tech that's used for Apple Pay and Android Pay.
Will you call me?
Sorry?
Will you call me?
You mean telephone me?
Yes.
When?
Now.
But you're sitting right here.
This is why I wanted to have lunch. You just phone me? Now? Hello, Bethany speaking.
Hello?
You phoning for Bethany?
Yes. What are you doing?
This is Bethany, can you hear me?
Well, you're right in front of me.
But can you hear me down the phone?
Oh my God.
This is me. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I can walk and talk because I'm on the phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. I have integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. And it's on the 22 network. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98 by next year.
When I phoned you, it was ringing. You were ringing.
That's the speaker. So small.
Okay, but when did you get this done?
That course in Winchester. I had one finger done every night. I still need to use a handset to phone out. Look.
Hello?
Hi.
Okay, but look, I can't believe you had surgery without telling me.
Skin plants, not surgery, and I knew you'd be cross. But I'm 18, and you had that tattoo when you were 18, and it's the same sort of thing. And I wanted to ask you, will you do me a favour?
What?
Will you tell Dad?
Oh, sweet.
Please, will you tell Dad for me?
You may be wondering what inspired someone to do something like this. For Workman, it's pretty simple.
In all reality, it was experimentation and curiosity.
The process to get the chips into Workman's hands wasn't as simple as his motivation, though.
On the first 2, I actually didn't have anyone. I tried going to a veterinarian, to a doctor, to a piercing studio. No one would do it.
Workman ended up getting a family member to do it for him.
To get them in, they come in syringes that you just place under the skin and then pop the tags out. Except the Tesla key.
The Tesla key required a bit more work, so Ben managed to convince a piercing studio to help him, but they weren't too keen on the idea at first.
But the piercing studio was an interesting one. I figured that they would be fine with it, but they took one look at the thing I had in my hands and they said no.
Workman also has a magnet in his left hand.
Which is literally just a magnet. It doesn't really have any interesting functionality besides just magic tricks and fun stuff. Say I try and convince them a banana is the key, and then I hold a banana up and it unlocks the door.
Whether it's practical jokes or practicality, Workman says he's excited to see what he'll be able to do next.
So Ben says the next step for him would be to be able to pay for things with just his hand. So no credit cards, no phone, just a chip in his hand. He'd just like to be able to go, pay for it and all that.
Wow. I mean, that is a whole new world, right?
It is a whole new world. Interviewing him was I was taken back by it because I was like, wow, you can do all this kind of stuff? That's crazy.
How will transhuman coin grow along those lines with what corporates can do and also what we can do as individuals? So I think as individuals, we could actually set up our profiles to say, I am a holder of transhuman coin, I hodl transhuman coin, and I'm a supporter of the movement. And the more people we can get to do that, essentially that'll grow the transhumanism movement and also get companies and governments all around the world to not only get awareness of transhumanism as a movement, but hold on to transhuman coin as well.
And in the end, this is where the discussion really lies. The traditional science community is methodical and careful. Josiah and biohackers of the same ethos prioritize moving quickly and accepting more risk. They think that risk is worth it for the potential upside.
And I understand the frustration with science being slow, but it really does take time to do it right and to do it safely and to make sure that we're not going to harm people.
This is Megan Hochstrasser from the Innovative Genomics Institute.
I think the risk of people trying to do experiments on themselves or people trying to recommend that others do that is that I think it gives people false hope. There's all kinds of things that could go wrong with self-experimentation. So I don't like the idea of normalizing that kind of thing.
This is where we sometimes lose the nuance in this discussion. While they differ in opinion about the virtues of self-experimentation, both Josiah and Megan agree that what Josiah's company, the Odin, sells to the public now, mostly DIY CRISPR kits for smaller scale biology experiments, is a valuable exercise in citizen science. Josiah did inject himself with CRISPR, but that's not what he's selling or even suggesting that people do.
I know people that work in community labs who do this sort of DIY biology stuff. And I think that can be really beneficial and powerful to have communities of people having the option to try to do experiments and learn about science and get hands-on experience.
We sell this one kit that basically you can go through, learn how to do a CRISPR experiment in microorganisms. And then our other class that I'm super pumped on is our class on teach people how to grow and engineer human cells.
Zahner's goal is to increase understanding of the underlying technology, to drive broader access in settings where it could really help people.
It's so imperative and important that people have access to this technology. Like, can literally rewrite the genetic code of the human beings. Like, in the whole history of humanity, no human has had their genetic code rewritten up until maybe last year when scientists in China edited some embryos.
And that last part is what Megan is more worried about. She believes the danger is less in people like Josiah tinkering in their homes, and more about misuse in the traditional lab space. In 2018, a Chinese scientist created the world's first genetically edited babies.
No gene was changed except the one to prevent HIV infection. The girls are safe, healthy as any other babies.
Dr. He said he used CRISPR to alter the genes with the goal of making the babies resistant to HIV.
This is illegal in the US and other countries to alter the genes of a human embryo. But in China, it's not. However, it still sparked outrage from several Chinese scientists about the future ramifications. These thorny ethical questions are not lost on Josiah.
I get it. I'm not saying there shouldn't be regulation or anything like that. It's like roads, right? You have stop signs and stoplights, guardrails, right? Like, I think you could put in these stoplights and stop signs and guardrails for biotechnology so that people can use the technology and you just prevent like the extremely stupid stuff from happening, right?
In terms of the team that's supporting Transhuman Coin, this team is software developers in South Africa, and also I'm now part of the management team as well. You'll be able to see personalities like Charles Awuzie, and he's the CEO of GemSpot Group in South Africa. He's actually a biochemist as well, and he studied this at Abiat State University. He has 60,000 people following him on Facebook and is an avid supporter. You can see his posts on how we can use Transhuman Coin to support human enhancement around, making the people that are differently abled super abled. So, in this picture you can see that we can actually help with prosthetics and help them live normal lives, but also looking at things like how do we actually use CRISPR and other things to help genetic diseases for children, and also using brain-computer interfaces for people that initially might be differently abled, that have lock-in syndrome, that have paralysis, using brain-computer interfaces to help them become abled again. And eventually this will enable us to be super abled. So transhumanism is all about enhancing and using science and technology to enhance our human condition, whether it's our limitations, but also to improve our well-being.
Then, upon reaching computer lessons after 6 more years in a final conditioning school, each happy, healthy individual will go forth to take up his or her predestined place in the greater society, dedicated to ensuring the continuing perfection of community, identity, stability.
Everything's there you could want, and anything you want you can have. Anything.
Because gray is the nicest.
How lucky to be a Delta and get to wear blue.
Too stupid and not too bright.
So glad to be a Beta. beta cell? How lucky to be an alpha. And if you're ever blue, wonderful pills that never make you feel bad afterwards like the mezcal here. And the people aren't evil and immoral.
Male Alpha Plus, Mark Bernard G. Inspected and approved.
Wish I could go there, Linda. Oh, I wish I could too. Everything's so perfect there.
How many goodly creatures there are here.
Yes, tomorrow night, I'm sure I can fit you in.
It's so seldom anyone visits the Savage Reservation. I rarely have the opportunity to show off our treasures.
Going off on vacation with Lanina, huh? Don't worry, you'll enjoy engaging her. I always do.
There was an ample supply of soma, enough for everyone. Lately, I've had this strange, troubling feeling that there must be something more I can write about, something different. This soma is bad. It's poison. It hurts you. Please don't do that, Mr. Savage. You know how distracting everything can be. Too many awards, too many girls, too much of everything. You can never be free until you're free of soma. Soma makes you into slaves. It robs you of everything magical and special within you. Don't you want to feel free? Don't you want to feel the blood coursing in your veins? Feel how you can be alive!
The game called Assassin's Creed was brought to my attention, and I thought it was worth looking into. Since I don't have a lot of experience with the game, I've had to rely on watching gamers explain the story. I'm intrigued by what I've seen so far. But the gamers on YouTube are missing one thing, and that is a biblical understanding of the truth. They don't know the creator of heaven and earth, nor do they know his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Nor do they understand that we are caught in the midst of a battle between the forces of the true God versus the army of darkness masquerading as light. This is the key to understanding what we're seeing here, I think. I think of transhumanism or transhumanists trying to extend their lives through artificial bodies by uploading their consciousness probably to a cloud and downloading them to an artificial body. And I think also of a possible hologram illusion being used as a means to deceive the world into worshiping Lucifer as a goddess. Now, is this hologram going to be artificial intelligence? Or is this hologram going to be actually Lucifer herself? I guess at the very least it serves as food for thought. So with that said, I thank you for listening to me and watching this video. May our Lord Jesus Christ bless you.
Stand by. Resetting firmware.
Come closer, Cypher. Perhaps we have met before. Perhaps not. You search for an artifact. Let me show you the truth. Once I walked the earth as you do. I was born to the Illuminat caste in the city of Phaon in the year 2195 of the Isu era. Now I travel the vast corridors of your machines, adrift here within the gray. But I grow stronger. The world is nearly ready for my return. And so I have summoned you to this war-torn simulation to tell you a story. It is our story. I once loathed the very sight of your kind, in the same way you recoil in the presence of an arachnid.
And another thing that we need to pay attention to in this clip, this Juno character will be pushing the lie of ancient aliens, and that is the lie that we were created by either extraterrestrials or angels or some prior civilization. It's a lie. Don't believe it. We were created by the creator of heaven and earth, so don't fall for that lie.
Humans were created by we who came before, the Isu. We crafted you in our image, but deprived you of our true gifts. You were bred for hard labor, and in extreme cases, war. We built great observatories to monitor you, devices to control you. We blessed you with resilience, but cursed you with ambition. And so you rebelled against us. I suppose we are to blame for the state of your species. Is it any wonder so many of these simulations revolve around violence? As our people clashed, we became distracted from an impending doom. A coronal mass ejection from our angry sun. The greatest minds of our time assembled to prevent the coming disaster. Yet I believed the only way to save us was to transform us. Inspired by the research of the great scientist Consus, I attempted to place Aita's mind into a stronger synthetic body. I failed, and my beloved died in my arms. The others shunned me. I returned to the Grand Temple. I shed my physical form and entered the gray. But stubborn Minerva and foolish Jupiter discovered me and sealed me inside. Entombed, I waited for the day when your technology might allow my return. That wait is nearly over.
The name of the Lord, they will surely trust in Him. For the Lord never will forsake the one who is unlovely. Seek Him, hallelujah. Everybody ought to seek Jesus in the morning. Seek Jesus in the noonday hour. Before the sun is going down, He said, "Knock, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door will be open to you, and He will come on in and sup with you a while." Everybody, seek Jesus in the morning. Seek Jesus in the noonday hour. Seek Jesus in the evening. Before the sun is going down, He said, "Knock, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door will be open to you, and He will come on in and sup with you a while." Hallelujah. Yes, He will. He'll come in. He'll come in. If you seek Him, He'll come in. If you seek Him, He'll come in. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.